Hey guys, I just watched Captive State. Not feeling too great about this one. I mean, it was interesting, but they didn't add a lot of stuff in it, so I'm really hoping that maybe reading some reviews or watching it again might help, but we'll see. I just didn't care for it, and I'll explain why in the review, because there's a lot of stuff that I gotta go over. Yeah, I will see you then.
Hey guys, my name is Ben Coleman and I'm here to review another sci-fi movie for you this week. This week we will be focusing on Captive State, which is a sci-fi horror movie, again, just like last week with The Endless. But this time, it's not so much as a time loop movie, but more of a political type movie. Two sides of the government are fighting. You have the rebellious group that are trying to fight against these aliens, and then you have the other side of the higher government area who is trying to put everybody in line and make sure that everybody listens to these legislator aliens. First, I want to jump into just to say that this movie is not well received, and honestly, for very good reason, which I'll get into later because I'm gonna say it right now. I did not really care for the movie, and I'm really hoping that the other movies that we review will be much better. But I will say we're keeping a long streak of movies that I really love. This movie was kind of hard to love. It was enjoyable, but it needed so much more, and it was lacking in a lot of areas. Now let's talk about the areas that it wasn't really lacking in, which is acting. There was a lot of great acting in this movie that I think really saves this movie. I mean, you have John Goodman, who is absolutely a beast at acting. I've never hated almost anything he's been in. But when it comes to the roles that they're given, it just was bland, and it's not any of the actors' faults. I will never blame the actors in this movie because everybody did a great job for what they're given, and they're not given much. It's a little off, and I don't feel like it's the strongest that it could have been. Now you also have Ashton Sanders and Jonathan Majors, who are both the other parts of the movie, but where they kind of jump in between their stories. They jump between their stories and they jump between John Goodman's stories. And there are three stories that I really could not follow because it jumped all over the place, and then you have on top of that these aliens that aren't really explained all that much, but that's not to say that there was not much love from their acting, as their performances were actually really spot on. Now as for the cinematography, it was great. It was done by Alex Deisenhoff, who did a spectacular job. As I did my research though, I will say that there are a few instances where I could see where people might think that the cinematography isn't all that strong. I think it was strong throughout. I disagree with them. I mean, cinematography was actually quite spot on, and there was a little shaky cam, but I think that does well to serve for the tension in this movie and how much of a horror it really is. Now let's get into what I didn't like, which is quite a lot, because everything that I've stated about what I liked, that's pretty much it. There's not much to go off of. I did do my research, and the people that hate this movie are hating it for all the wrong reasons. They are hating it for special effects, which I will say I didn't mention, but they're fine for this movie. I was kind of in the middle about special effects, so I don't really have a general opinion about the special effects of this movie. But in terms of story, world building, everything was so off. You have these aliens that are there, they look threatening, but I don't think the movie does well to really set these aliens up. I mean, this is a movie that kind of feels like it starts in the middle of the story where you don't really know what's happening. There's just these aliens there, and they're there, and you have to serve them. When the people fight back, you kind of realize that the aliens are not all the stronger that the movie made them out to be, which I guess is not really all that much, because the aliens, once they were attacked, yes, they shot people down, but the humans still found a way to fight back. And they did it all across Earth and made the aliens feel like they were not all that threatening. I mean, they were defeated by humans. They look threatening and they feel threatening, but then just end out to be not built all that well. Now, I kept waiting for them to explain more, but the whole entire second act of this movie was so bland. I want to stay through it, but it was really hard to do so. There were so many lackluster moments that was so hard to follow along with because they weren't advancing the story as much as they should have. Now, there were action scenes, of course, because it's an alien movie and they're gonna fight back in a alien versus human type situation. But that's really not what was important here. I mean, the action scenes really had no meaning behind it because it really ended up being nothing. I mean, they were cool looking. The special effects, the cinematography actually kind of helped with all of that. But in terms of who these aliens were, we don't get much. My final kind of thought on this is that the movie didn't really make a decision about what it wanted to be. And it was there's a few plot twists that I don't think they explain much or set up all that well. I mean, it was cool, but I don't know what else to say about this. This was kind of disappointing. I feel like I should not recommend this movie, but I'm going to just kind of give this a middle thumb for yeah, if you want to. If you don't, that's fine. You're not really missing out on a movie. But that's just my opinion. If you end up watching it and you really like it, I mean, yeah, there's a lot to like about this movie, but it's not to the point where I'm going to just brag about, hey, I saw this Captive State movie, you should really watch it. That's not the deal here because I can't do that. Now, in terms of score, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10, which is kind of middle, more than average, which is good because, like I said, the acting, cinematography, special effects, they all save that. But if they ever turn out making some sort of sequel that explains way more, of course, I'll watch it, but only if it explains what really these aliens are and how powerful they seem to be. But hey, I really want to hear what you all have to say. And of course, all the time, I'm always interested in hearing more about what people's opinions are on these movies. So please put down in the comments what you feel about this movie, and if you like it, that's great. I want to hear your opinion. If you don't, I want to hear about that too, because you probably found some things that you didn't like. But hey, if you do turn out liking this movie, there is a little Easter egg from the Apollo 11 landing. It's a little audio that happens twice in this movie, and I want you to try and find it. So it's a little trivia for you and a little game for you if you want to watch it. If you don't, perfectly fine. I want to hear more. But that's all from me now, and I will talk to you all next week. Bye.